It was New Year's Eve, the kind of night when everyone comes together to celebrate fresh beginnings. At an upscale restaurant bustling with energy, the air was filled with the clinking of glasses and the cheerful chatter of guests. The dim lights added a touch of elegance, and every table was adorned with sparkling decorations fit for the occasion. Amid this festive atmosphere, a man walked in dressed modestly, but with quiet confidence. His presence didn't draw much attention at first. He greeted the host politely and was seated at a corner table, seemingly ready to enjoy the night. As he waited, a waitress approached him. Her expression was anything but welcoming. She glanced at him, her tone sharp and dismissive. Without even taking his order, she made it clear he wasn't welcome there. Her words carried a sting laced with assumptions and prejudice, as if she judged him just by his appearance. Other diners glanced over, sensing the tension. Whispers started to ripple through the room. Still, the man remained calm, his expression unreadable. What no one, especially the waitress, knew was that this man wasn't just anyone. He was a billionaire, a self-made success who had overcome countless challenges in life. But on this night, none of that mattered to her. The incident seemed to hang in the air, leaving everyone curious about what would happen next. The man's response, however, would not only surprise the waitress, but leave everyone in the room questioning their assumptions. The restaurant was alive with the magic of New Year's Eve. Warm golden lights reflected off the crystal glasses and polished silverware, creating a glow that matched the excitement in the air. Guests dressed in their finest outfits toasted to the year ahead, their laughter blending with the soft notes of a live piano in the background. Every detail, from the flickering candles to the elegantly folded napkins, whispered sophistication. Among the staff moving swiftly between tables was a waitress in her mid-30s. She carried herself with a certain briskness, her face set in a polite but mechanical smile. While the other staff seemed caught up in the joy of the evening, her demeanor felt colder, almost as if she viewed the job as a chore rather than a privilege. Her sharp eyes scanned the tables as she moved, and her interactions were efficient but lacked warmth. When she approached certain guests, her tone softened, slightly hinting at an ability to charm when she chose to. Yet there was an edge to her manner, one that suggested she was quick to judge and quicker to dismiss those who didn't meet her unspoken standards. It was clear she wasn't there to soak in the celebratory spirit. She was there to get through the shift, her patience thin and her judgments ready. Little did she know one of the guests she was about to encounter would change the course of her night, and perhaps more than just her night. The sound of the front door opening barely drew any attention at first. A man stepped in dressed in a simple jacket and jeans, his presence calm but unobtrusive. He greeted the host with a polite nod, his voice soft yet self-assured. There was nothing flashy about him, no designer labels, no entourage. Just a man looking for a quiet evening to ring in the new year. The host, though briefly taken aback by his modest attire, led him to a table in the corner. It wasn't the best spot in the house, but he didn't seem to mind. He sat down quietly, observing the festive surroundings, a faint smile on his face. Moments later, the waitress approached. Her steps slowed as she neared his table, her expression shifting from neutral to something more curt. Without bothering to greet him, she stood at a distance, her arms crossed. "Are you sure you're in the right place?" she asked, her tone clipped and condescending. The man looked up, surprised, but calm. "Yes, I'd like to see the menu," he replied politely. She scoffed, barely concealing her disdain. "This isn't that kind of restaurant," she said, her words heavy with implication. She didn't offer a menu, didn't ask if he'd like water, just turned and walked away, as if he wasn't worth her time. Nearby patrons began to take notice. Whispers rippled through the tables as people exchanged puzzled glances. Some appeared uncomfortable, others visibly upset. A few even craned their necks to get a better look at the man who seemed to have been so unfairly dismissed. One of the junior staff members hesitated, clearly debating whether to intervene. But the waitress, confident in her actions, shot them a look that silenced any objections. The man, meanwhile, remained seated, his expression unreadable. He didn't raise his voice or call for the manager. Instead, he sat there quietly, as if weighing his next move. Whatever he was planning, it was clear he wasn't going to leave without making a statement, one that no one in the room would forget. As the minutes ticked by, the air grew heavier with tension. The man still seated didn't seem in a rush to leave or cause a scene. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone, calmly tapping the screen. It was a gesture so ordinary that it seemed unremarkable until what happened next. A young couple seated nearby recognized him. At first they whispered quietly, their eyes widening in disbelief. Then, unable to contain their curiosity, they approached him. "Excuse me," the young man said nervously. "Are you?" He hesitated, not wanting to be wrong. The seated man gave a small nod and smiled. "Yes, that's me," he replied softly. The couple's reaction was immediate. They gasped, their excitement impossible to miss. The young woman turned to her partner, whispering, "I can't believe it. He's the founder of that tech company." Now more heads turned. Whispers spread like wildfire through the room. Some guests discreetly pulled out their phones, quickly Googling his name. Within moments, the truth was out. The man was a billionaire, a self-made entrepreneur who had built a global empire from the ground up. He wasn't just wealthy. He was known for his philanthropy, funding education programs, and helping underserved communities worldwide. His story was one of resilience, having overcome countless obstacles to achieve his success. The waitress, who had been chatting idly with another table, noticed the shift in the room's energy. She frowned, confused by the sudden buzz of conversation. When she finally realized the man's identity, her face turned pale. But the man didn't look at her. He remained calm, acknowledging those who greeted him with a polite nod. His focus, however, stayed on the moment. The waitress's actions hadn't shaken him, but her reaction to the revelation said everything about the power of assumptions and the consequences they could bring. As the room buzzed with murmurs, the man finally broke his silence. He stood up, his movements measured and deliberate. The calm in his demeanor contrasted sharply with the tension hanging in the air. "I came here tonight expecting nothing more than a good meal and a peaceful celebration," he began, his voice steady and clear. The room fell silent, every eye now fixed on him. "But instead, I was reminded that no matter how much we achieve, some people will only see us for what they assume." His words were neither angry nor accusatory. They carried the weight of experience, spoken with the quiet authority of someone who had faced prejudice before. Turning to the waitress, who now stood frozen a few feet away, he continued, "I don't blame you for judging me by my appearance. That's a reflection of something much bigger than just you. But I hope tonight is a reminder to treat everyone with respect. You never know their story." The waitress, visibly shaken, mumbled an apology, but it was clear the damage had been done. Other staff members rushed to step in. The manager appeared flustered and apologetic, offering to comp his meal or provide VIP treatment to make amends. The man raised his hand, politely declining. "It's not about the meal," he said. "It's about the principle. I don't want anything for free. I just want to leave this place knowing that next time someone else won't have to go through the same experience." Within hours, the incident began to spread. Guests posted about it on social media, recounting the billionaire's grace and the waitress's poor behavior. Comments flooded, and many praising the man for his composure, while others criticized the restaurant for allowing such conduct. By the next morning, the restaurant faced a wave of backlash. Their reviews tanked online, and calls for accountability grew louder. The management issued a public apology, promising better training for their staff. As for the waitress, she was reportedly suspended, pending an internal review. But for the man, it wasn't about revenge or punishment. His response had already made its point. Respect is the bare minimum everyone deserves, and it's a lesson that often comes at the most unexpected moments. By the next day, the story had taken on a life of its own. What began as a quiet incident in a corner of a restaurant exploded across social media. Guests who had witnessed the event firsthand shared their accounts online describing the man's calm demeanor and the waitress's harsh treatment. Some even posted pictures of the restaurant tagging its official page and demanding an explanation. Within hours, hashtags began trending. Posts like hash respect everyone and hash billionaire listen flooded platforms with people from around the world weighing in. News outlets picked up the story, running headlines like Waitress insults billionaire on New Year's Eve. His response stuns everyone, and a lesson in humility from a self-made billionaire. Public opinion was overwhelmingly divided. On one side, there was outrage. People condemned the waitress's actions, calling them a blatant example of prejudice and entitlement. Many called for stricter policies against discrimination in customer service, arguing that such behavior shouldn't be tolerated. On the other hand, the man's response earned him widespread admiration. Comments praised his composure, with some saying his actions spoke louder than any heated confrontation ever could. Classy and dignified, he showed us how to handle ignorance with grace, one user wrote. Others pointed to his speech as a moment of inspiration, a reminder to challenge biases and treat everyone with decency. Still, there were a few voices that defended the waitress, suggesting she might have been overworked or stressed on a busy night. But even these opinions often ended with a recognition that her behavior was unacceptable regardless of the circumstances. The story sparked deeper conversations about systemic prejudice and the assumptions people make based on appearances. It wasn't just about the waitress or the billionaire anymore. It became a mirror for society, reflecting the biases many people carry often without realizing it. The man, meanwhile, stayed out of the spotlight. When reached for comment by the press, he declined interviews, saying only, "I hope this serves as a reminder that respect costs nothing, but it can mean everything." His quiet humility continued to win hearts, even as the restaurant scrambled to repair its reputation. This incident is a powerful reminder of the dangers of judging someone based on their appearance or assumptions. It shines a light on how prejudice, even in subtle forms, can impact others in profound ways. Yet it also highlights the power of humility and grace in the face of disrespect. The billionaire's response wasn't just a lesson for the waitress, it was a lesson for everyone in that room and for all of us hearing the story. Respect should never be reserved for those we think deserve it. It should be a universal value extended to everyone regardless of who they are or how they look. After all, you never truly know someone's story, their struggles, or their achievements. This story leaves us with an important question. How often do we let our biases dictate our actions, and what can we do to change that? Think about it the next time you meet someone new. Are you truly seeing them, or just your assumptions? If this story inspired you or made you think, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with others. Let's spread this important message far and wide. And if you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more stories that spark conversation and reflection. This story is a work of fiction created to convey important lessons about respect, humility, and the dangers of prejudice. While it is not based on real events, the themes and messages are meant to inspire reflection and promote understanding in our daily interactions. Thank you for watching.